Ani, and welcome. My name is Alicia Rogerson. I'm a visitor here on Treaty 3 and the Executive Director of Kenora Rainy River Child and Family Services. It's my privilege to welcome everyone here today. We're gathering for very important reasons, and to start us off in a good way, I have the honor to welcome and introduce Elder Jeanette Skeed of Wajashkanim Nation, who has graciously offered to provide an opening prayer and blessings.
Bonjour. After Chinan to Ma, where the unknown Nigoan, much bigger Gitoan. And the snack Chinan down, or capture the kid the what, or a Bino Jew, or a where when the church of Matizat of Yasaboya, and the Shnami Rajimini using or on the KE, or a Samagi Minigo, where would then Makaya what Kagizot. Owega ag maga shugi mag anipoyan anishnamige we wende anishnavech matazing or kina we shoni moso winga anishna kweting rejga yigete wabinung ete and owa Jesus gaviat ka sagichiet anin kangin with the cake it is just semen or anin cake shebak where Gershaw nunca ete, where when kita pinon chiminanic, where get Anishna ya, where when the chicken and mangito, aperture, mean the cake as you mean the buoyancy, when the cake at the kino into ma, where gay Nagabio nunca ete, may we night ya, Junana tenimento ikiwa. Ka kuziat ka kuini jawat ke mi tu shama ka geswat ma min ke chinana gten ma kyanishna be so oitish kiet nung ete anishna ne tabiat ete sukan oege manitu ki we when is going me going anishna me kera be shikna ma going over Chanish Nabega Imachawa or Wingers or where when Gavino Gio, Anishnaga Nogum Kidap Mog in the K or Gaja Toing Nogum Gangabige Gagip Meshkot Konishnabec or Gagaya once a gay keep Musenko Wingak Shipka Nom get the storming. Kenora no maybe so without warning, where near chicken and monkey target of no Jiminani, where the scam on the two, nigger or Ashnaria Samo, when give me the bow or would then never resort, or the vaccine that was at work, show you mark to me question the cat, Anishna, Minake, financial and everything, talk of no Jew or some. Who want to see where we know. Cha Uxboga, and there's not getting what she mean who you sing or fana. Gitchin and the Mapituma, Kiano go one or Chagagi Gitor, Swearwane, Chimata sing. Jimmy, I just want to say something in English. My husband Clifford Skeed, he remembers a time, Kenora. He called it Ogumsaking Kenora in their day, because it was a town. Jimmy Gwachta.
Jimmy Gwech, Elder Skeed, for your prayer and bringing us together and getting us started in such a good way. Advocacy and investments for Northern Ontario often have a common thread, the Honourable Greg Rickford. It's my pleasure to welcome and introduce Honourable Greg Rickford, Minister of Indigenous Affairs and First Nations Economic Reconciliation, Minister responsible for the Ring of Fire, Economic and Community Partnerships, and Chair of the Cabinet Committee for Economic and Resource Policy, and of course, Member of Provincial Parliament for Kenora Rainy River. Minister Rickford.
Well, thank you for that, and I apologize for the title. But before I get into my remarks, I actually just want to thank the elder first and foremost. And how about these amazing community heroes who have rallied around the work on the ground here in the city and do such a great job that we're back here today to make an important announcement and keep this thing going. Thank you to you guys. And also to the city of Kenora, just off topic here for a second. Andrew's like, uh-oh, what's he gonna say now? So I was involved substantially in the construction of this building when I was the federal member of parliament. It's beautiful. And I was just waiting for an event where we would actually use those cement stairs for something. It was intended to be a movie theater. I'm not sure any movies have been shown here, but the city has done as good a job as they can. You knew I was gonna come out, Andrew, and say, but to have it here at this venue and share this particular room is awesome. Look, Ane, bonjour, Greg Rickford, Indigenous Cause. I want to welcome everybody from near and far for joining us here on beautiful Lake of the Woods. This week and next are the fever pitch. It's been building up to that, but we have a lot of people visiting this amazing space, and some forest fire smoke has decided to join us as well. But we have to continue on with the real business of work despite a compelling desire to be out on the lake. It's been an exciting week that kicked off with Minister Lumsden and an extraordinary announcement for the entire area, frankly, to be building a recreational complex at Wajashkanugam, partnering with them and obviously bringing revitalization to the notion of healthy living, an ice rink surface workout space and walking space for people 4 seasons was a great way to kick it off. But sometimes outside of that, the work gets really serious around things that people at the community level here do. As I said from the outset, this is truly a full circle moment as we come together exactly a year and a half from announcing Kenora's very own care unit. And I say we're honored to have representatives from the many community partnerships that have made this project possible, from child and family service agencies to Indigenous organizations throughout the Kenora Rainy River District, which is roughly the size of a small European country. And frankly, to take the next important step that my colleague and dear friend Michael will announce shortly, is what unites us in our unwavering commitment to fight human trafficking in our communities. And I'm exceptionally blessed to have my 2 little girls with me here today. I want to thank you for your support. Alicia, Executive Director of Kenora Rainy River District's Child and Family Services, thank you for being our MC here today. Sean Spencer, the Associate Director of Anishinaabe Abenuje Family Services, and of course Jay Wesley, the Chair of Kenora Coalition to End Human Trafficking and Executive Director of the Kenora Sexual Assault Center. And of course now, my good friend, the Honorable Michael Parsa. Now, he's made a couple of trips out here, and I've appreciated his presence. It's inside baseball, Michael, but it means a lot. I've obviously, in 2 political chapters of my career, I've made a lot of announcements here and around the province and indeed around the country, but it warms my heart when a colleague comes out here and lets me introduce them to share the good news. Mike is the MPP for Aurora, Oak Ridges, Richmond Hill. But as importantly, I've had a chance, I'd like to say, do a little bit of mentorship with Mikey as he came up through the ranks and he moved quickly. He has the confidence of the Premier of Ontario and this cabinet. He has done without question an exceptional job presiding over a ministry that has many complexities to it, and his ability to build out meaningful relationships with partners, agencies across the province on some pretty delicate subject matter, frankly. We haven't had the opportunity to see it be done like that, frankly. We've had some good ministers, but I think Mike has shown us a new and even better way. So for here in Kenora Rainy River, investing in the solutions that are tailor-made for our community, shaped by the people who live and work here, are designed to meet the unique needs of victims and their families. And I was speaking to the minister and the mayor and Councillor Barb Manson about the uniqueness of where we're situated geographically as the center of Canada, where a lot of this kind of activity and a particular nuanced vulnerability, not just for our local populations, but nationally, indeed occurs right here. And to have you in our neck of the woods and understand the importance of collaboration and coordination, not just for local agencies in the Kenora Rainy River District, but frankly, nationally, and joined by our men and women in blue who understand this at a very real level. And thank you for your service and your contributions to this is going to make this meaningful. So ladies and gentlemen, I could go on, as many of you know, but I want to ask my dear friend and colleague, Ontario's Minister of Child, Community and Social Services, the Honourable Michael Parsa, to come and make an important announcement for us today. Thank you.
Well, thanks very much. Good afternoon, everyone. So good to be back here in beautiful Kenora. I was here exactly a year and a half ago, and it was on January 30th, and the weather was beautiful then. I'm now here on July 30th, and the weather is just equally beautiful. It really is nice. And let me start off by thanking my colleague, my good friend, Minister Rickford, who's not just a mentor to me, but he's been one to so many of us in this line of work. With his extensive experience and care, compassion that he shows, it really is an honor to learn from him. And a kind introduction to so many of our partners that are here today. I want to also thank the City of Kenora for hosting us. Of course, Josh Nelson, who played a big part in organizing this very important event. And I also want to thank the Elder Jeanette Skeet, for opening today's event in a positive and meaningful way. Thank you so much, Elder Skeet. As many of you know, today is World Day Against Trafficking in Persons. This is a time for all of us to raise awareness about this terrible crime and to really show our support to survivors everywhere, including right here in Kenora and surrounding ridings. So on behalf of Premier Ford and our entire government, I want to thank each and every one of you for everything that you do to prevent human trafficking here locally and right across our province. Our government truly values the work that you do, and we as a government are taking action to ensure the safety and security of people right across the province, which is why we are so pleased to announce the renewal of Ontario's anti-human trafficking strategy for another 5 years, with an investment of more than $345 million from 2025 to 2030. Now, this brings Ontario's total investment to more than $650 million over 10 years, which is the largest total investment in dedicated anti-human trafficking services and supports in Canada. This renewed strategy will continue to do the following: raise awareness, will protect victims and intervene early, will support survivors, and of course, hold offenders accountable. It will also continue to have a key focus on protecting children and youth from sex trafficking. This includes providing specialized services and supports such as children at risk of exploitation or the care units. Now, care units are specialized intervention teams of police officers, child protection workers from children's aid societies, and Indigenous liaisons who work collaboratively to do the following: identify and locate children and youth who are being trafficked or at risk of being trafficked, connect them with culturally appropriate and specialized supports, and support investigations to hold offenders accountable. It all began with 2 care units in the City of Toronto and in Durham region in the GTA. And we're already seeing the impact of both of these units. On average, the Toronto and Durham care units serve more than 200 children and youth between the ages of 12 and 17 each year. Last year, I joined Minister Rickford and several partners that are here today in Kenora to start and initiate community engagements for a proposed care unit right here. Many of you took part in the working group that blossomed from these engagements and have helped us to get us where we are today. I want to thank each and every one of you, every single one of you who participated in the crucial insights that you provided. Thank you so much for your hard work, for your dedication. Today, we're incredibly proud to launch the new care unit right here in Kenora. The care unit in Kenora will support this initiative, and with that comes we are providing $6 million of investment over 3 years to increase community services and supports in the region, including trauma-informed, specialized supports for children and youth. And as always, we're committed to working across jurisdictions to provide more prevention, more protection, and more support to survivors. So with that, I wrap up by thanking each and every one of you for attending and for being here today for this very important announcement and for helping make this announcement, the Kenora Care Unit, a reality. I look forward to continuing to work with all of you to protect more children and more youth from this horrific crime. I now welcome Sean Spencer, a very important partner in this initiative, to say a few words. Thank you, and miigwech.
Good afternoon. Well, following the minister feels a little bit like Pete Townsend following Jimi Hendrix, but I'm going to give it a try. I'd like to extend a warm welcome, of course, to Minister Parsa, Minister Rickford, community partners, and guests, and it's great that we are celebrating this event here in Treaty 3 territory. I'd like to acknowledge Elder Skeed and say miigwech for her words of encouragement and wisdom. My name is Sean Spencer. I'm the Associate Director for Anishinaabe Abenujin, and I'm pleased to be here today with a couple of colleagues. I'd like to make a mention of my cultural coordinator, Clarence White, whom not only our day-to-day work, but this project, he will be an integral part to ensure that services delivered and any program delivered has cultural services at its core, as well as Director of Services, Roberta Canton, who is a key player and will be supervising and supporting the care unit, which we're very excited about. With today's announcement, the CARE program presents an opportunity to enhance partnerships with our service providers as well as our First Nation communities, which will lead to action resulting in better outcomes for those affected by human trafficking and exploitation. I want to sincerely thank the Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services for their commitment, as we just heard, to supporting the sector and our most vulnerable children and youth. In return, as service providers, we are committed to delivering on an initiative aimed at protecting and supporting those most at risk in the present along their healing journey of recovery and by taking preventative measures as well. We appreciate the opportunity to develop and carry out this critical work in a way that considers the uniqueness of the people, region, service models in order for us to best meet the needs of the young people we serve. I look forward to the work ahead. Miigwech. I'd now like to turn to Jay Wesley, Executive Director of the Kenora Sexual Assault Center and Chair of the Kenora Coalition to End Human Trafficking, to offer some remarks.
I'm envious. I saw Sean's speech and he's got about a 10 font. Mine's about a 30. Okay, before I begin, good afternoon everyone. Before I begin, I want to acknowledge that the Kenora Sexual Assault Center is located on Treaty 3 territory, the traditional land of the Anishinaabe Nation. We honor and respect the sacred relationships between Indigenous peoples, these lands, waters, and communities. We walk alongside survivors in the spirit of truth, reconciliation, and healing, always striving to reflect those values in our work. On behalf of the Kenora Sexual Assault Center, I would like to thank Minister Parsa from the Ministry of Children, Community, and Social Services for today's announcement, and also our Member of Parliament, Mr. Greg Rickford. As many of you are already aware, today's announcement coincides with the World Day Against Trafficking in Persons. And has already been mentioned, it's a terrible crime, and we really need to work to eradicate it everywhere, not just in this community, but internationally and nationally as well. The 5-year financial renewal plan that we have just heard about today reflects a real commitment to building a person-centered social service system, one that meets people where they are, honors the diversity of their experience, and strengthens outcomes for individuals and families across Ontario. We are encouraged to see that the plan includes investments in financial and employment supports, culturally relevant services for Indigenous and Francophone communities, and a focus on children and youth at risk. This aligns closely with the work we do every day at the Kenora Sexual Assault Center. At KSAC, we provide crisis and trauma-informed counseling, individual and group programming, prevention and education for youth and adults, and we operate a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week crisis line. Our Anti-HumanTrafficking unit and our advocacy and accompaniment services provide life-saving interventions. We serve the town of Kenora and 23 remote and fly-in communities, many of which face systematic and geographic barriers to accessing timely, trauma-informed care. We also provide these services and will be providing these services to individuals who will be participating in the care unit. This is part of the wraparound services that we will be providing. Sustainable multi-year funding means we can plan for the future, not just survive from year to year. It means we can retain skilled staff, deepen our programming, and expand currently relevant services for Indigenous youth that are culturally appropriate and needed and traditional ways, and counseling services that are needed on the communities that surround our community of Kenora. We will support the youth, the families, and the survivors. And we will collaborate with all the services that we now collaborate with to make sure that the wheel of care is complete and that all of the wraparound services that are needed are taken care of and are accessible. It gives us the tools to respond effectively in moments of crisis and to stay engaged through the long road of healing. We recognize that this plan comes during a time of financial and fiscal restraint and that the ministry is being called to manage growth responsibly. That makes this commitment even more meaningful. For every investment in community-based services like ours, there is a return in safety, in stability, in dignity, and ultimately in better outcomes for the people that we serve, the people of this community and for all of the remote flying communities that we serve on a daily basis as well. Thank you for seeing the value in what we do, and for supporting organizations like the Kenora Sexual Assault Center in creating a safer, more compassionate Ontario for all. I would just like to say miigwech, and I would like to say thank you. And before I leave, I would just like to present the ministers with we had a barbecue today. I served 250 burgers before I got here. So this is our shirt that we have with the coalition and with the Sexual Assault Center. I would like to present one to you. You're very welcome. And I would like to present one to our wonderful Member of Parliament.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Just before we close out, folks, on a sobering note, what we're doing here is so important, not just for Kenora and the surrounding area, but for many of the communities, as was mentioned, some of the remote communities, isolated communities that I have served in a previous capacity as a nurse and seen as a frontline worker firsthand how troubling this can become and how quickly it can become a challenge or a problem for a young person, and in particular, young women. So I want to thank you, Mike, for coming out here, for actually launching the renewed commitment province-wide. Doesn't happen a lot out here, but for you to do that means a lot. Thank you, brother. And to announce a commitment that is nuanced for what work we are doing here in Kenora. So thank you to all of the folks that participated and are here today. My name is Greg Rickford. I'm the Member of Provincial Parliament for the Great Kenora Rainy River Riding, and it's a privilege and an honor to serve my constituents, but especially on this day, as a huge fan of the work that you folks are doing to serve you too. Thank you for this opportunity.
Quite the announcement. Actually, I'm as old as the care unit. I came to Kenora around the same time, and my first meeting was at the care unit engagement. What a meaningful initiative in the protection of children at risk of exploitation. And so thank you, Minister Parsa, for the investment of children and youth in this region and in the province. Miigwech, Elder Skeed, thank you, Minister Rickford, of course. And thank you to all the key care team members and partners that are here, community partners and everyone attending and sharing in our commitment to end child exploitation. Together, we can and we will make a difference. So thank you.
Everybody hang on. Hang on. And let's do it. Go!
Right on.